Hi, this is Dave Perry, and you're watching Retro Gaming Revival live.
Hello and welcome to Retro Gaming Revival Live. I'm Triangle Face and I'm joined by Blunners. How you doing?
Hello everyone. Yeah, I'm good, mate. You?
Good, yes, all good, thank you. And our guest tonight is editor at Future. It's Ben Biggs. How you doing? Hello. Thanks very much for coming on.
That's okay. I love the intro.
It's a fun, jaunty tune. I don't think we can ever get rid of that tune now. That's going to be us, I think. I think there'd be outcries if we changed our opening tune. I feel like we need to have like a little. We do have the same tune at the end, but I've always thought we should have like a separate outro tune. It's very very supermarket sweep, I think is what Oliver says. Well, thanks very much for coming on. We're going to chat games as we always do. So we'll start off with our first question that we ask all our guests who come on, and that is. First off, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. We should say hello to people in the chat, shouldn't we? So we had you had something. We've got Rob. Hi, Rob. Thanks for joining. Good evening.
We've got Dorbs.
We've got Dorbs. We've got the Girth Meister himself, Gold Teeth Gaming. No, thanks for dropping by, everybody. Right, let's start. So we'll start off with what are your early gaming memories? So what got you into the hobby of gaming and what was your start?
So I genuinely can't remember ever not playing games. My dad had like an old 8086 PC with like the old Winchester disc, which you had to ship at the end, and he had a game on it called DND, and it was a roguelike game before I even knew what roguelikes were like. It was literally, you used all the ASCII keys, a bit like Dwarf Fortress before it came to Steam. Use all the ASCII characters to move about the map, pick up gold, and then go back to your town and like buy other stuff like a +3 sword or whatever, and then go back out down to a deeper level. So like I was completely obsessed by that game. Whenever I could, I'd get on the computer and play it. And all the kids in my neighborhood had either Acorn Electron or Spectrums at the time, and my older brother had an Acorn Electron. But he smashed it. He saved up all his pocket money for weeks and weeks to buy this thing for 80 quid, which back in the 80s was like quite a bit of money. And whenever he used to get wound up because he lost at whatever game he was playing, he used to smash it like that.
Oh no!
The keyboard was part of the actual. It was like a laptop effectively, so he ended up just smashing it to bits. So I had to go.
It cost him 80 quid.
God, I remember we had one of the earliest computers we had in my house was an Acorn. I think it's because that's what they had at the school. So our school had Acorn computers, BBC, and there's like a word. Yeah, we started off with a BBC Micro, and then we went from that to an Acorn. And we got it because that's what the schools had. There's like a word processing thing, so I could like take work in on a floppy disk. But obviously I used it for gaming, so I probably used it a heck of more of a gaming machine than a word processing thing. But that was like our first PC really before we then upgraded to an actual PC. But you mentioned roguelike games. They really seem to be having a lot of popularity at the moment. They're quite a current thing, aren't they? Roguelite.
Mhm.
I've got in some recently, and they're really addictive because it is just like I'll just do one more, I'll just do one more, I'll just do one more. My favorite one at the moment is that Vampire Survivor. Have you
Okay.
played that?
No, I
I
haven't
think
played that.
No.
it's really good. It's Castlevania sort of esque themed thing, and you go in and you start collecting weapons. Well, like, as you level up, you can choose what weapons you get, and each weapons have different perks. You can level them up and then evolve them. And it starts off with like a few enemies, and it just escalates really quickly. And before you know it, the screen is absolutely flooded with loads of enemies. But you can only go for as long as half an hour. And then like this Grim Reaper comes along and just kills you, and that's the end of the run. And you have to just go back and start again. But you can then buy permanent upgrades. So when you go back in, it's the exact same thing, but you start off with an additional attack or faster or an extra life or something like that. Yeah, similar
That
sort of
sounds
concept.
like Rogue Legacy, actually.
Okay.
A little bit like Rogue Legacy. Yeah.
I'll tell you another one I've been playing a lot recently, which is another roguelite, was there's quite a few VR ones, because I'm quite into VR gaming as well. There's a game I really enjoy called Crash Landing.
Mm-hmm.
It's Crash Landing and In Death Unchained are really good. And it is literally you just go in and you fight waves of enemies until you can't do it anymore and you get killed. And then you get a few perks and then you do it again. And you literally just keep going back. So the Crash Landing one's quite good because it's like all these bugs and spiders and stuff like coming towards you, and you just gotta like wait for the ship to come pick you up. And if the ship comes and picks you up, you then get on to the next level. But it takes ages to get good enough to clear the level before you can move on to the next one, because when you first start, things just kill you like pretty much straight away.
Is there
quite tough.
ever a point in that where because like when roguelikes really started off and it was all fantasy based, sort of top down ASCII stuff, when you died, that was it. There was no going back to it. Your save got wiped. They do seem to have got softer, if you like.
Yeah,
100% they've got softer nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
But no,
you
you said you said the Spectrum. That's one of my earlies as well. Because my brother was like mad into gaming as well, and I remember he used to obviously, should we say, borrow games from other people. But the loading times, you'd just be there forever. For that noises and that he was making. But the thing is, you used to think it used to take ages for your game to load up and play. But nowadays, if you put a game in, you're waiting hours for it to download the updates before you can even play. So you're pretty much you've pretty much done a full circle. We've come back.
That was almost part of the game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The cassette in and like, is it going to load this time or not?
Yeah. Slowly see the screen building, don't you? Yeah. Classic.
So what sort of system did you go on to from there then, once you sort of got your next console after the Acorn?
From there, it was over to Amstrad, so I played a hell of a lot of Dizzy games. I think I rinsed through the entire collection pretty much on Amstrad. And then when I went to school, I never got into the NES until much later. But some of the guys had a Super Nintendo. That's where the Game Boy was where I got my first taste of Zelda. The Game Boy on the Zelda on the original Game Boy. I can't remember what that.
Yeah, I've got it.
That would have been Link's Awakening.
Link's Awakening, and
that's a brilliant game, isn't it?
I've never played anything like it.
Amazing.
And then Link to the Past was on the SNES. That was just another level. I've always been sort of adventure RPG oriented. And I played a lot of to contrast that, I played a lot of Super Street Fighter 2 as well. That
tends to be, that was my kind of two weapons of choice really growing up. It was RPGs or fighting games, which they're not overly similar, are they? But it's completely different ends of the spectrum, I suppose. Gaming, reactive, fast-paced stuff, and then like the decision-making strategy RPGs.
So I mean, I think if you're spending a lot of time gaming, you need something to have a break from your main weapon of choice, if you like, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What was your character on? Who did you play as on Street Fighter?
Oh, I was a Dirty Ken player.
Ken.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I also
crap
went
at
for
it.
Ken. It was Ken or Sagat as well. Sagat was a go-to of
yeah,
mine.
because the joypad, the moves were mapped the same way, weren't they?
Yeah, because you do the
Yeah.
tiger uppercut and
Yeah,
things like that. I think I did like it in Street Fighter as you went through the games. They kind of made Ryo and Ken more different each time. And I think initially on the original Street Fighter 2, I think I had Street Fighter 2 Turbo. I used to prefer to play Ryu. And then by the time we got to like Street Fighter Alpha series, I leaned towards Ken after that because Ken seemed to focus in more on like kicking combos, whereas Ryu was all about doing like the super fireball and things like that. So I just preferred Ken at that point. But
yeah, I think Street Fighter 2, the only difference between Ryo and Ken, apart from their gi, was the throw. Ryo would just roll onto his back and just do a normal judo throw, and whereas Ken would do a flashy spin on the floor.
Yeah.
Well, no, my brother was always was a bloody blanker, just constantly hammering the old electric all the time. Just to piss me right off. So you're like try to get closer and just get shocked all the time.
Yeah. So one of the characters I found really hard to play against was E Honda. So he's got the 100 hand slap, but he's got a really bad like low sweep. It's like it really catches you because he's got quite a long range with that, and then he does like the flying headbutt as well.
Flying headbutt, yeah.
It's actually really hard to get around. He's one of the harder characters to beat, I think.
Yeah, if you got someone who really knows what they're doing with the Honda.
Yeah, I used to quite like Chun-Li as well for the kicks, but I could never pull off the spinning kick she did because it's a full circle curl, isn't it? For some reason, I just never get it to work. It's really nice.
Yoga flame. It was
it just didn't seem to work very well for me. I don't know whether I just needed to practice a bit. I've always found it quite hard, and I've always found it harder because I've got an arcade cabinet that's got like a lot of Street Fighter games on, and I find it much harder to play and do the moves properly on a joystick and buttons. I prefer to have a controller in my hands. If I've got a joystick, I find it a lot harder to actually do the super combos and stuff. Just you have to go and get the knack of it, really. So cool. Okay, and so what is your favorite game and your favorite console? And they don't have to be.
Are we including
the same
PC in this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because PC is my main gaming platform. So I mean, if I was to choose a console, I'd choose probably the N64. It's hard pressed between the Super Nintendo and the N64, but
yeah, I think there's some really
why
good,
the N64
real solid games.
Ocarina of Time. It's possibly,
love that game.
It ranks in my top 10, if not top 5 games of all time.
Were you lucky enough to get it the Christmas it came out? Because I know it was like rocking on shit. I managed to get mine, but it was sold out everywhere.
I just played it on a friend.
Did you? Oh, I got it. Yeah,
N64. Yeah, I never had any. My parents were pretty poor, and I never had any money when I was a kid. So luckily, I had lots of friends who were into gaming, and I was able to play on their consoles. Although I did.
Sorry, I was saying about that controller. But the first time using an analog stick, I think that was like.
Oh yeah. It was pretty innovative, wasn't it? It was ahead of its time. That controller.
I think one of the first N64 games got really into was like WrestleMania 2000, and then after that the No Mercy game, because that you would hold it like a normal controller, but you'd flick the analog stick. You have to like move your hand across to flick the stick to do the taunts and get your super moves up and get your special.
Yeah, do your special.
That was quite good. It's quite clever, really, isn't it? Because you want to play with an analog stick, you hold it one way, and then if you're not, you're holding it that way, and you just change how you're holding the controller. But the games didn't tend to make you flip between the two ways of holding it while you're playing. It seems like focus on one or the other.
I'll say I've literally just got that. I downloaded the new GoldenEye, but I've got behind me. I've actually got the Switch N64 controller, and it took me a good hour just to get used to it again, for it to be like I was like, Oh, mate, it is weird because obviously you're so used to having your two analogs moving where you want instantly to then, yeah, it took me a while. And at first it was pissing me off. And I was like, how did I grow up on this? I can't do it. It was like, it took me a while. But then once the old muscle memory kicked in, it was fine.
It's where I found the similar thing when I played Time Splitters 2 recently. So I went back and played some Time Splitters 2. And it was just the camera. I found the analog stick was like either too sensitive or not sensitive enough. And I found it really hard to like focus on where I was looking compared to like if I was playing something recent like Halo or something. It was just a lot more smoother. But yeah, to playing Time Splitters again, I was like, this was really hard just to walk around and look at stuff. I can remember it don't remember it being hard before. So obviously we're perhaps being spoilt now with how smooth camera controls are compared to back then.
Have they is that a reboot, Time Splitters 2?
I don't think they're doing. I have heard rumors that they're going to reboot Time Splitters, which I'd absolutely like. Time Splitters 2 is probably one of my favorite games.
Yeah.
That's in my top 5. But I haven't seen anything yet other than people saying, "Oh yeah, they want to do it." But I'd love to see a Time Splitters trilogy remake of all 3, or a brand new one. Either or, I'd be happy just to get more Time Splitters because that was a great game, especially like the. Creating levels, because I think I spent a lot of time in Time Splitters 2 doing the maps. You can make your own maps, and then you could also put in game logic. So you could have like a key and a door, and, like you have to kill a certain character to get him to drop a key and things like that. And it's fairly basic, but you could create like a little mini level. I used to try and make little levels and get my mates to play them. So that was always quite fun. So what was you mentioned your top 5 Zeldas in there. What is the top game and what hits the top of your list as your favorite game?
I suppose it has to be the game I've played most of, and I'm due a return to it. Is Heroes of Might and Magic 3. I've completely lost count of how many hours I've spent playing that game. It must run into like a couple of years worth of my life. I downloaded loads of the mods. There's a huge fan community behind just that one game, let alone the rest of the Might and Magic series.
I have tried some of the other ones. Like I think I played 4 or 5 long after, and I was like, you have to go back to 3. 3 just got everything right, didn't it?
Yeah.
It was just one of those games where it's just so satisfying to play. And again, it's a massive time stealer. And I used to play multiplayer on it quite a lot. Like me and my brother and a few mates would just have really long campaigns. But at the start, it's like, I'm going to buy this, and you move on. But after a while, you get to turns where your turn takes ages. So you have to start coming up with other stuff to do when it's someone's turn.
Yeah.
So if someone's having their turn, others would go off and do something else. And then we'd have to like hot desk on the PC. Seat, hot seat on the PC until people had had their turn.
Quite a friend of mine who introduced it to me. We used to spend weeks in the summer just playing one map, and like we would play it for like a good 6-7 hours a day, and then just do whatever, and then wake up the next day and get to it again. Yeah.
Who was your favorite? I guess you call it right. What was your favorite race to play as?
The Necropolis.
Nice, yeah.
They're just a lot of fun, especially once the Shadow of Death expansion came out, and it allowed you to raise liches instead of skeletons from.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one good thing about them, is especially at the start when you start a map, because you can turn things you kill into skeletons.
Yeah,
that like really adds to, like, it means you don't have to go back to your base as often for that. That's good. Yeah, very good choice. I do like Might and Magic 3. Have you seen there is a board game coming out? I don't know if it's out yet, but there was a board game of Heroes of Might and Magic 3 on Kickstarter.
Really?
I think. Yeah. Let's have a look. I'll see if I can bring it up. I'll have a quick look.
So you haven't backed it then, Triangle Face?
No, I haven't backed it yet. But I probably should, because it is one of my favourite games. Heroes of...
I've never played it.
It's definitely worth a go. Here's Might and Magic 3 board game.
Obviously, you got all your mods. Is that all through the PC?
Yeah. So there's a crazy Russian mod called Wake of Gods, which introduces a whole raft of stuff, which is fun, but it's seriously unbalanced. But there was a few years ago, someone built an entire new race, entire new campaign, castle, loads of map artifacts, and it was really well polished. It felt like New World Computing had
Done it themselves.
got together and done
amazing.
it themselves. Yeah, it's really
Here we
good.
go.
Oh wow!
Let's have a look. So that's the Heroes of Might and Magic 3 board game. April 2023. Late purchase. So it's
next
very
month.
soon.
Awesome.
So creatures turns into miniatures. It looks awesome.
And what is that? A Kickstarter? Or?
I believe so. Well, it's got here the. I thought it was on Kickstarter. I might be mistaken there, but I saw some people talking about it on Facebook and clicked a few follows. Yeah, it's all cards, artifacts, leveling up the heroes. Yeah, building up your town. So it's got all the same sort of elements.
Yeah,
I think that just goes to show how good 3 is, because there's been other ones since, and they've made this game based on it, and they've gone for 3 rather than just a generic sort of Might and Magic game. But yeah, definitely worth checking out that one. Let's remove that there. Okay, yeah, here's a Might and Magic 3. Excellent game. If you've not played it, I recommend giving it a go, because it's excellent. Cool.
Yeah, totally.
So the other thing we were going to talk about is how you got into games journalism. So what was it that sort of drew you to that, and how did you get your first sort of opportunity to get into games journalism?
So I was always a keen writer, just silly bits of fantasy. I used to write from an early age, and I didn't even think of writing as a career until I finished my degree and realized I didn't want to do anything to do with my degree. And a friend just suggested, "Oh, you like games, you like writing. Why don't you get into games journalism?" And I said, "Oh, easy as that then." I can't remember what happened after that. It was a bit of a blur, really. I applied for various internships, and I got a couple of weeks on official PS2 at one point, and then I decided I kind of wanted to pursue this seriously. Did a postgrad in magazine journalism, and at the end of that, I applied for a job on. It was on for a publishing company in Bournemouth called Imagine Publishing, which was a new publishing company at the time, and they had a new launch coming up, and it was a mystery launch, but it was obvious it was going to be a Nintendo Wii magazine. So I applied, got the job, and they put me on Games TM for about 3 months while they were launching the magazine, which was great. Because they didn't have a PC guy on Games TM at the time, and so I just got to do lots of press trips and review lots of PC games in that time. It was a nice way to cut my teeth. And then they launched the Wii magazine, N Revolution, and I was on that until it closed about a year later. Yeah.
I was going to say, was that tough? Because I don't think they didn't seem to release that many games on the Wii, or at least not that regularly. Was there much to cover? Was it monthly, I presume?
This was a big issue. Yeah, it was a 4-weekly magazine. This was a big issue. Like we had to. It was basically a previews mag for, I don't know, about 5 or 6 issues, and there was only real. I don't know if you remember at the start when we came out, there were a couple of flagship games. The rest was just all dross, like Super Fruitful, and I can't remember what else, but it was just it was shit. It was shit.
Like, the good games on the Wii are great. So obviously you've got Wii Sports, you've got the Mario Kart, you know, you've got the side-scrolling Mario, Wii,
That didn't come out for a while though.
Did not. Oh, yeah, like the
No,
Super
that
Smash
came
Bros.
out ages.
One on there, but like, all like the flagship titles, like the Zelda, your Mario, your
I'm just
Mario
looking
Kart, your
up
Super
online
Smash
at the
Bros.
minute.
Like those are all great, but there's lots of other just crap
Yeah.
games on the Wii. They're just real weird titles, but they're all really high price still. I can remember like seeing games in the shop, like even secondhand Wii stuff back then was like what, £1 off the full price if it was secondhand and things like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of the games just weren't particularly good. Occasionally get some real gems. Like I really liked No More Heroes.
Okay.
That was really good fun. And Red Steel.
Yeah,
I still need to play Red Steel 2. I haven't played Red Steel 2 yet. That looks good. But Red Steel 1 was really good. Actually, that was a really fun game.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that I don't think that we ever with the Wii remote and nunchuck, like it never, for games like that, it didn't work. It didn't work so well. The motion control wasn't that great.
I found they were quite good for like first-person shooters because obviously you're pointing and then moving.
Yeah, for
one. So I found that was
like
quite good.
Pointer,
I also actually there's one bit I was really enjoying Red Steel. Sorry, up until the point that I realised that even the hardest boss can be beaten if you just go like that. They just go, hack, 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 and they can't do anything. And I was like, okay, that kind of like sucks the fun out because it's just really easy.
That was a running joke at the Megs.
Yeah, I just didn't realise that actually, rather than trying to do these full swings and fight them properly, you just go, oh,
yeah,
and eventually get. Yeah,
it must have been hard trying to write for like games that obviously you're not enjoying, and you're having to.
I mean, it gets not enjoying or games or previews for games that you know nothing about.
Yeah.
All you've got is one new screenshot, which the publisher has sent you, and like, here you go, right?
Write about this.
Yeah. I mean, one of the reasons why I left it in the end was just because I wanted my hobby back. Because like I don't play games very fast. Some of the guys in the office like used to rinse through like 100-hour RPGs in a week and write a page feature. 8-page review by the end of the week, and like that's just not something I could do. I just don't have. I don't think I have the stamina, and I'm not that quick a writer either. So yeah, I got out of there just because I wanted to, because I was spending all my games time playing games I didn't really want to play and review, and it was affecting my reviews as well. So yeah, got out of there, got my hobby back, and yeah, never looked back really.
Okay. Well, you've covered sort of going in and then getting out towards the end, but we just said we're going to have a look at some of your time spent there. So working in games journalism, what are some of your sort of more memorable times you've had doing that, and have you got any stories of any of your press trips or anything you've done?
I mean, like the best parts of being a games journalist are the press trips, because they're, well, first start, you get the red carpet rolled out for you. At least I did back when I was on the job by the publisher. So you get flown to whatever exotic location. Sometimes it's just a studio, or sometimes they just want to promote their new game, whether it's whether they haven't released it yet, or not. But yeah, so in terms of specific press trips, there was one a couple of months into my time on Games TM, Stalker Shadow Usher novel press trip for that came up. So I got flown out to Kiev with a load of other journalists, and we were getting excited to see the game at GSC Game World in Kiev, because there was quite a lot of hype behind it at the time. But also they were taking us on on a tour around Chernobyl.
Wow.
So this was like 20 years. This was 2006. It was like 20 years after the disaster, and there wasn't many tours there at the time. But like the night before, we were drinking in this bar in the hotel we were staying at, and we were all getting really excited about going to Chernobyl. And then the following day, everyone started thinking, a little bit hungover, everyone started thinking, oh, well, right, we're going into a radioactive exclusion zone. Maybe this is not such a good idea. And then bus pulled up. The PR guys came out with these little backpacks, which they handed to everyone.
You're going to say that hazard suits or something.
Yeah.
No way, that's a joke.
Hazard suits and a bottle of vodka, like in the Stalker game, and then they came out with what I thought was an NDA, but it wasn't. It was a disclaimer, basically saying if you suffer any effects of cancer or anything like that, then it's not our fault.
Jeez.
I think everyone was in it. Everyone was in it, but by that point there was no backing out. So we ended up going on this bus about 80 kilometers north of Kiev into the exclusion zone, and there's this big barrier with this really gruff looking Soviet type guard. I mean, obviously he wasn't Soviet, but that's what it felt like. And into this exclusion zone, and one of the guys got given like a Geiger counter, and we were walking around in the courtyard in the shopping mall, and he pointed the Geiger counter down into the moss that he was standing in, and it just went ape shit. Everyone started to like, okay, don't get in the moss.
Yeah, part like the Red Sea.
We had a wander around there for an hour. I went to go down this like the famous Ferris wheel. We were all standing around there, sort of looking around, and I went to wander down this sort of tree-lined path, and the tour guide just said, "No, don't go down there." All right, don't go down there. And then on the way back out, we had food in the canteen in Pripyat. Was it in Pripyat? Oh no, it might be a little way out of Pripyat. And everyone was a little bit, should we be eating this food? And then we started to get out of Chernobyl back to the side of the border gates. And there was this big like shed, and we all had to. We didn't know what was going on. There was just these guards just ushered us through these sheds, and we got into this shed, and there was a big what looked like old airport security thing, and you had to go up to it and put your hands on these two metal plates and wait for it to go red or green. And obviously this was to test how much radiation you would absorb.
Everyone was crapping.
Everyone's crapping. Like, yeah, I don't know what would have happened if it turned red. I mean,
yeah. That's what. Luckily, everyone was green. You didn't see anyone turn red. Then you're saying this is like did you say it was 06? So like. Your camera phones weren't as good now, like, do you know what I mean? You wouldn't be able to.
No, and really annoyingly, I took loads of photos. Obviously, I had just a crappy little, I don't know,
Nokia or something. Yeah,
and I took loads of photos, and I've lost them. I don't know where they've gone.
No, mate, there's no Facebook or anything like that to upload it.
Well, I uploaded a load of them to the Total PC Gaming website, which was another magazine that I worked on for a couple of years, and that got shut down. Well, after the magazine closed, and I asked the IT guy at Imagine Publishing if he could find them, and he couldn't. I mean, they're there somewhere in the ethers, because Future took over Imagine Publishing. So, I mean, maybe they're there on a hard drive or something somewhere.
What a random trip, though. What a random
Yeah.
trip.
Yeah.
Wasn't quite what I was expecting when you sort of started talking about it. And that's what they did to show you around. That's bad, but mad, yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So I mean, and there are plenty of other memorable trips. There was, yeah. I mean, yeah, I nearly got in a lot of trouble on a couple of them, just because I was new and I didn't know the rules exactly, and I just thought, like, okay, this is on, I don't know, EA's dollar, for example, and I can just rinse through the bar and whatever. But yeah.
Just whoops. You
Yeah.
ever do E3 at all?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like the guys who did go on E3 from my company. It was literally, you get flown out there, jet lag or no, you got a couple of days to get around there, get as many interviews as you can. And yeah, it didn't sound like much fun, to be quite honest.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you saying it like that, it does sound a bit of a ball
few
ache.
days turn around, and then you fly back, and then anything you haven't written up, you have to. I mean, they were burning the midnight oil for the whole time, on top of jet lag. Yeah, not. It didn't sound like much fun to me.
Yeah, you're saying that, doesn't
it? Sounds like the kind of thing you'd want to actually go to as a just as a guest, you know, just to actually go along to the event.
Yeah,
really.
yeah. E3's gone now, isn't it?
Well, yeah, pretty much.
A few years ago.
Was it all online like last couple of times, isn't it? It's just been.
That's
online.
right. Yeah. They brought it back online.
Yeah, I think that's mostly due to pandemic, though, wasn't it? Because wasn't the last one like during lockdowns and stuff? I can't remember now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I think with the success of like the directs, and now PlayStation have got their one. I think everyone's going down that route now of releasing just a video showing off all their games, which is a shame, really.
Yeah, it is a shame, because it'd be nice to have something like that still and have like a big event. Like I've been to Eurogamer a couple of times, and that was quite fun. Actually, getting to go around and try games out. It's like, I remember that was the first time I played Skyrim. The way they did it was pretty good, because there was quite a long queue, but it was moving really quickly. And what they did is they had multiple banks of desks, and every 5 minutes they turfed off one of the desks. So 5 people left every 5 minutes. The queue moved by 5 people to go into this extra bank of desks. They had multiple banks. So every person, once you sat down, you got half an hour, which was actually ample time to have a little go on Skyrim and see what was going on and look into it and stuff. And then you'd be kicked off after 30 minutes. And then
was that from the beginning though? Like,
yeah, from the beginning. Yeah.
All I remember doing is just fucking running away.
Well, dragons, no, it must have been it must have been a demo, because the bit I played, you were in this cave, and it wasn't the start where you got the cutscenes or when you're on like the carriage, and then the dragon attacks. You're just like, you're in this cave, and you come out of the cave and go to this top of the mountain where a town was. But I'll be honest, I didn't actually spend a lot of time playing the game. I was being really boring, but I thought I'd learn more about the game. I was looking at all the menus. I was like, what are the skill trees? What are the different perks you can get? And I was going through all the different item crafting systems, things like that, just so I could learn a bit about what was going to be in the game. Like, I could just walk around and hit something, but that's, maybe I probably should have done that a little bit. But I was just fascinated going through, like, what's different skill trees? What's the different leveling up system? Because that's what I was interested in. But there was one other game. I can't remember what it was. Go on.
Once you get the game, I mean, you would have been able to go around and hit things, wouldn't you? And you could see all that in the various promotional preview videos.
Yeah,
came out for.
Yeah. And I think the other one, I can remember having a really long queue. We went to one which was I can't remember what game it was. It was a Star Wars game. I think it might have been like a Star Wars MMO that had come out or was about to come out. I can't remember which one it would have been. possibly. Yeah, I'm not massively into my Star Wars games. So I was like, oh, this looks good. And there was a short queue. It's like, oh, while the queue's short, let's go and have a go on the Star Wars game. And we walked up to this queue. This guy just was like, oh no, this isn't. This is the queue to who's going on next. The queue to join is over there, and there's like a gap across the hall. And then it started, and this queue went all the way down the wall and all the way around the entire building. And I noticed that like half the people in the queue were dressed up in like Jedi robes and stormtrooper outfits and stuff like that. And it was like absolutely huge queue. I was like, yeah, we're just going to not bother with this one. We'll go and play on something over there. I was like, they must be waiting for absolutely ages to get on that. But at first I was like, oh, there's only like 10 people in this queue. Let's go on this. I was like, nope. Must be an absolutely massive wait. Oh dear. Right. Cool. Thank you for going through all that with us. It's interesting to hear all these different stories. So we'll move on to one of our other segments that is a favourite segment of the show, and that is looking at your Waller's remasters. So that was introduced by Rick Waller, who introduced the segment where you talk about 3 games that you think should be brought back for a remake or a remaster. So what would be your 3 Waller's remasters?
So I've mentioned it already. Here's a My Magic 3. I don't. So I think this needs the right people to remake it, and it's effectively it's I think they're on Here's a Might and Magic 8 now, and effectively they've tried multiple times to bring it into 3D. And no one seems to have been able to get it right. So maybe just a simple remaster for that one, because as you said, like it was the perfect formula for the series, the third. So maybe a remaster with all the best mods that are out there. I think my second is Black and White, and that's for a remake. If they could get the old Lionhead team together, and yeah,
I vaguely remember that.
So
game.
I think I did have a copy of it, but I didn't get massively into it. I think it took quite a while to get started, didn't it? So you didn't actually have access to all the really cool stuff you can do right from the word go. You had to kind of like build up your village and stuff. It's quite
that's right. I mean, it was. I mean, the first level, if I rightly remember, you were just like on this little island next to the sea, and pretty much the whole of the first level is a tutorial. Yeah, but it had that fairy tale feel to it that Lionhead is.
I'll look it up because I can't picture it. It's doing my head in. I vaguely remember it. Yeah, Black and What was it on?
That was PC.
PC.
Just PC. I'm not sure it was on any of the consoles. There wasn't at the time. There wasn't much in the way of porting between console and
consoles. Yeah, it wasn't. I vaguely remember it. Like,
let's have a look. Just trying to see if I can find some sort of official page. Fine. Maybe I'll just get some images of it. Let's get images.
It's one of the ones I've heard of, but I can't remember playing it.
Mm-hmm.
So
you would have like the creatures, wouldn't you? You'd have like different creatures you could choose.
Mm-hmm. There was, I think there was a spin-off of Black and White called Black and White Creatures. Yeah, that wasn't that good.
I'll tell you what this reminds me of as well. We'll get a quick picture of it as we said that we would. Let me just make that full screen. Let's see if I can find. I'm not sure which language I've gone into here, but I'm on a different site. Let's bring up this quickly so people can see what we're on about.
Yeah, I remember the name of it, but I can't picture
this
it
is
at
it.
all.
Recognize that? So you were like the hand You're like a godlike figure.
Yeah, you're like a god, aren't you?
Yeah,
And you could slap
That's
your
painful.
creature. That
That's
was
Oh,
the more you abused your creature, I think it started off just by crying, and then eventually it would become an evil creature if you really mean
abused
to
it too much.
Mhm.
Oh dear. Oh, that was that. I was surprised that picture I was showing was black and white 2. Actually,
Yeah.
there's a picture from black and white 1 there, just slightly different. Yeah, do you know what this reminds me of? Actually, just looking at some of the screenshots from it. Did you ever play Spellforce? Is that one that you've come across?
Think I did.
It's probably around the same sort of time,
Yeah.
and I absolutely loved that game. And it was really clever because it had different styles of play. So you had just a character on your own, and there'd be a few sections where you have to fight off a couple of enemies, and you'd have to level up your character a bit. And then you got something called Rune Warriors, and you'd have these runes which summon like a warrior which had their own abilities, and then you'd have like a small team of maybe up to 4 people that you could fight with these bigger battles with. And then you go to an area where to get out past the area, there's a huge like army, or there's like a village of orcs or something that are living in this village. And you could not take them on your own because there's absolutely tons of them. And the camera would be able to be panned right back. And instead of warrior runes, you'd get like worker runes. And then you'd have like miners and soldiers and things like this. And you'd have to build like barracks for soldiers. And you'd have to get people to farm things like clay and wood and get all your resources together and build these different buildings. Every now and then some orcs would come over and try and attack you. You'd have to kind of fight them off. And eventually you'd have like barracks. You could make archers. You could summon knights. And you could build up this whole army. You then send them off to fight this army of orcs and destroy their village to get to the portal to the next area. And as soon as you went through that portal to the next area, you're back to being one person on their own. And you leave your entire settlement behind. And then you've got another section where you're one person. And then you carry on for a bit. And then you get to another area. Yeah. You then get to another area and it's like, oh, there's a town of orcs over there. But you've got some ore, you've got some wood, you've got a mine. And you have to do the whole thing all over again to build up. But it was really satisfying. It's a really fun game. And it's just the fact that all you need to do is on the mouse, you just pull your mouse back and the camera angle would just be right back to have these really big epic battles. But on the sections where you're one person walking around, you could zoom the camera right in. The camera would be just behind your player. So very different play styles, but seamlessly moving from one to another. So that was really fun. I wouldn't mind to revisit that one because that was a good game. That's again a bit like Might and Magic 3. I spent a lot of hours on that one because you could just get sucked into playing that for a really long time. But yeah, that was good. So yeah, what's the third remaster?
Thief.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
yeah. So and I think this could be just remastered rather than remade. I haven't seen a really good Thief style game. I mean, pretty much since Thief 2. Really, there's lots of games that which use the stealth mechanic, and they've done evolutions of that, but they all seem to be a lot more combat based, whereas Thief was the focus was finding all the shinies in whatever castle or house you're burglarizing and rob it blind.
Yeah, I remember when that came out. Was it on was it 360?
I think it was on Xbox, original Xbox.
I'm just seeing if I've got it up
and
there.
it was on PC as well.
Yeah.
I think I got it must have been a Games with Gold at some point, I think. I think it was a game. It came out on Games with Gold at some point.
But yeah, I remember
like it was on. You can get it on Xbox One as well. So yeah, it looks like they've redone it a few times. It's on Xbox One, I'm sure. Yeah, and on 360. So they must have brought it out on multiple. Oh, and there it is on Xbox. So yeah, it was on Xbox, Xbox 360, and Xbox One.
Oh right, I didn't realize it was original Xbox.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that as well. Xbox Thief.
More than 20.
Although that says Thief Deadly Shadows. Is that the same game? Or is that a different version of
think
it?
Dark Project was the first one. I think Deadly Shadows was the third one.
Okay.
Well, was Dark Project the second? Oh, I can't remember.
Okay.
I think the original team, Looking Glass Studios, they might have been only involved with the first or second. But they were like the legendary. That studio has gone down in legend, partly for because of Thief, because it basically introduced a new genre to gaming.
Yeah, nice. I played recently. I went back and tried Tenchu Stealth Assassins.
Okay.
Oh, did you?
Really good. Yeah, it was like I have
remember that
really
being
fond
tough.
memories of that game. I remember that game being absolutely brilliant, and I spent ages like trying to do the mission stealthily, because actually being stealthy in that game was not easy. It was much easier just like run around hitting people. I was always like really into. I really wanted to be stealthy in it, but I went back to play it and I was like, oh, the actual stealth mechanics in that game are terrible. It's really like you just get spotted immediately. It's so hard because actually the camera angles are not your friend. All you have to tell you if something's nearby is this one little meter in the corner. You've got no, like comparing it to something like Metal Gear Solid, where you can actually be stealthy. It was actually really bad, but it's called Stealth Assassins. Like you want to kind of try and be stealthy with it, but really, really tough. So yeah, I kind of wish I hadn't gone back and played it now. I wish I'd kept that game as a happy memory, because I went back and I was like, no, it's terrible.
That's it.
Yeah. Sometimes you go back to games like, oh yeah, this is just as good as I remember, and it's brilliant. Another time you go back and go, oh, this is very good at all. Which is a shame. So, but hey, we've got a bit of time left to throw one more at you. I don't think I've raised it to you, so I'm going to put you on the hot seat now. You didn't talk about this before coming on, but we've also got another section of the show, which is Liam's Love to Hates, where we ask you, what is a game that you know is bad, that you don't really like, but for some reason you just can't put it down and you keep coming back to it? What bad game keeps drawing you back in?
So I can't think of a game that is bad that draws me back in, but there are plenty of games that I want to go back and play. I go back and play, and I end up regretting it just because I get frustrated or whatever. There's a recent one. It's definitely not. It's definitely not retro, although it is a little bit retro styled. Called Bad North, which is like it's kind of like a tower defense game, and you've got characters on an island, and you're just waiting for these waves of like various Vikings to come in, and you have to stave them off. It's a really smart strategy game, strategy stroke tower defense, and you've got archers who obviously range attackers, but aren't a weak up close. You've got spearmen who can keep swordsmen away, and but it's really flipping hard. It's fucking hard, and I end up and I can't help but put it on the hardest setting as well for some reason, because I'm a bit masochistic like that, and I still can't complete it. I've tried about 3 times, and every time I get to a certain map and realize that I can't complete the game. It's impossible for me to complete the game because I've run out of time or whatever, and then I end up completely regretting the amount of time I put into trying to get that far in the first place. So
it's really annoying when you get to a real near the end of a game and you got really hard. I found a few times we'll get to like a really hard boss or something, but right, I need a break from this game. I'll go and play something else, and then time will pass. I go back to the game, right? Let's revisit this, try again, and I cannot remember the controls, or I've obviously right at the end of the game, the hardest possible bit. Like I'm have to go back and go from the beginning again for a bit to get good at the game again. Because like I just can't. I'm just going to keep dying all the time. So yeah, that's been what happens. We do have one question in here. We've got that question from.
I got two.
I got two.
Yeah.
Oh, I can see.
Yeah.
We don't have to ask that first one, Planet.
I'll answer that.
That's
I'm
funny.
long out of the industry.
Have you ever had to do a backhander for a review?
A lot ever, like many
No,
many times. I mean, there's many times that a publishing company has thrown stuff at you in the hope that they get a good review. Here's a story actually. We got an exclusive on the magazine that I was on for BioShock, the original BioShock.
oh,
Oh, nice.
Fuck it, and I got to review it. That was an amazing review because they wanted to lock the they didn't want word of the game coming out at all. They put me up in a hotel in Windsor, and I had to stay in a hotel for like the 2 or 3 nights, and then just get up in the morning, go into their studio. They'd leave me in there and supply me with food and drink, and I just play the game for like 3 days.
wow, bizarre.
That was really cool, and it was like I was playing it on a super shit hot PC, and I came out of that, and I just thought that's a 10 out of 10 game. And at the time, I was thinking that was a really good game, but was it because I was being treated so nice?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Give it a
Yeah.
10. So, like, I wrote my review, and I finished my review. I read through my review, and like that, and I said to myself, that reads like a 10 out of 10 review. I have to give it a 10 out of 10 now. So I did, and then luckily, loads of after exclusive came out, loads of other outlets reviewed BioShock and gave it full marks as well. So
yeah, good. Awesome. I think Ollie will be very jealous because he keeps on sort of talking about BioShock being one of his top games. And he's a big BioShock fan. So yeah, no, he'd be.
So what's it? What's it like? Do you ever feel like kind of under pressure sometimes with like the PR because you don't want to shit on their game, but like if it is crap, you just have to be honest on it.
I think it was an unwritten rule, or it was an unspoken thing at the time, more or less, that if a game gets 7 or less, it was like 7 out of 10 was a 5 out of 10 effectively. Or a 3 out of 5 was a 2 out of 5. Like it was, and you saw a certain, like in 2005 2006 there were a lot of outlets reviewing and pretty much exclude, unless a game was absolutely shit, they pretty much got like 7 or higher every single game, and I think that's why Eurogamer changed their review system to their 3-tier system that they got now from whatever they had before, which I think was out of 10, just because I mean scores are bullshit.
Yeah. And what was like, like Nintendo are like known for like having all kinds of bullshit hoops that you have to jump through that you can't say, like the embargoes and stuff.
Yeah.
Is there any like crazy ones that you have to sign? Or
I've signed quite a few NDAs, but I can't think of anything remarkable out of my Nintendo days. I went on a press trip to Redwood Shores in 2006-7, I think it was, and we got taken on a tour around this studio, and I saw, I took a photo of an interesting looking board, and the director straight away, he was red hot on that. He was like, "Nope, delete that." And then they got us to sign NDAs and whatnot, and then they took us to their shop, and they said, "Oh, choose 3 items of your choice." And like, okay, cool. I had a hat, a backpack, and a game. I think it was like all part of the experience.
Wow!
But that was EA. That wasn't Nintendo.
That was
It was a Nintendo game.
It's like I remember what someone was saying with Assassin's Creed. It got leaked. Someone had it on their laptop, one of the workers, and someone's taken a photo of it and banged it online. And so that's the kind of like. Luckily, you didn't think it wasn't really like Twitter and that about in 2006. So it's nothing like lost your laptop or something, and then get yourself in all kinds of trouble.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember. Yeah, any hardcore NDAs or anything like that, but there were plenty of leaks, even back then. I mean, it was still like the internet in 2006.
Yeah. Because I think it was about 2001-ish, 2000-ish. It was starting to fully come out.
Actually, the most hardcore, in my experience, was Rockstar. Like I
was about to say that as well. Rockstar.
They got so funny about so much. At one particular occasion where we managed to get our hands on, it was just a piece of Mad Max artwork, not even a screenshot of the game, and we put it on the cover of the magazine and did a big preview on it. And they got on the phone to the company director. They were not happy at all. They absolutely it was just a piece of artwork that we'd got our hands on, and we knew we were doing something a little bit naughty that they wouldn't like. But I mean, they weren't giving us anything anyway, so we just thought, oh, sod it, let's put it.
Do you feel like Swardover got targeted recently as well? Obviously, been hacked and had all their shit leaked.
I mean, that's a whole other story, isn't it? That's
because you don't find anything out about like Rockstar games, really, do you? Until they want you to know. It's very rare that you have a leak like what happens. They have it on lock and key. They do.
Yeah.
I think we've got time for one. We've got one last question, so I think we can get it out quickly. We can wrap up. But another one from Gold2 saying, any game you used to like that you think hasn't held up? So obviously, my one was Tenchi Stealth Assassins. But have you got any games that you've gone back to and you thought, no?
I've not. Honestly, I haven't. I mean, Thief might be shit now to play. I don't know. Right? I haven't played it since it came out.
Yeah, I'd say mine was Conker's Bad Fur Day, like as in graphically. The actual game itself is funny as hell. Like, I cannot stop laughing, but it was hurting my feet. Like Birdie, like the Birdie the old scarecrow. It's like, Birdie. It was funny as hell, but like but I was trying to play it. Trying to show my son it here, and it was hurting my eyes, like on the screen. It's like stretched on these bigger screens, and it's just it was giving me a headache. But it was a weird one. So I love that game though.
I actually Command & Conquer. I played a bit of the remastered Command & Conquer. I know it's remastered, but it's still basically Command & Conquer. And I thought, I get into this straight away. And it's just RTSs have just evolved so much since those days. It just felt really, really tired. Although I still love the FMV cutscenes. They're still. They're still brilliant. Really, really kitsch.
Well, they 2 discs. On the first one, 2 discs on PS1.
Think so, yeah.
It wasn't free. It was 2, I think. Them double cases we used to get over here.
Oh my god!
Open, both sides.
Get broken.
Yeah. It's weird because you see the Americans. The Americans just have like a normal CD case for their PS1 games, whereas we've got them stupid breakable. I haven't got one to hand, but they're really hard to fix. Just end up buying a crap game and swapping it out.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. Well, thanks very much for joining us. We'll be wrapping up now. Thanks for everyone in the chat and everyone for watching. Do you have anything you want to plug before we go off the air? Any sort of Twitter, Instagram, any things like that you want us to follow on, or anything you want to plug?
If you're into true crime, pick up a copy of Real Crime Magazine. It's a great read.
All right. Sounds good. Right. Thanks very much for having us on, and I will play us out.